at you guys with another episode of Tuesday Nights. We do this every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Y'all know what time it is. It is time for Atlanta Falcons football. Time to kick off the season. This is the preview for Week One's matchup between our Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This game will be played at home, the first home game of the season at 1 p.m. I expect the Mercedes-Benz Stadium to be rocking this upcoming Sunday, and looking forward to watching some Falcons football. But I'm gonna give you guys my preview of or my early thoughts on this Sunday's matchup between our Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, you guys are going to want to tune in tomorrow night as well for the Heavy Hitters Live on our Heavy Hitters Live channel. We usually go live at 9 p.m. Eastern Time here on YouTube as well. Tomorrow, me, Mad Mike, K Styles, Don, we will be going live to talk and give our thoughts and our three keys to victory and things of that nature. But you guys definitely want to stay tuned because we're going to have a lot coming for you guys here on my channel as well as on all of the other channels that we have as well. Mad Mike went live earlier. He does a live show. 6MK or 6 Man does his live shows as well. But as you guys know, this is my solo show that I'm gonna be doing every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. I usually try to be on for about an hour. So from 9 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern time. But as you guys come in, make sure you hit that like button for your boy. Make sure you share out this content. This is not only for Atlanta Falcons fans, but anybody you know that enjoys football content in general. Make sure you guys share out the content. We all currently on the road to 3,000 subs and beyond. But I appreciate each and every one of you guys that have, always support the channel, always pull up, whether I'm doing a live video, whether I'm doing a video posted on the channel. But like I said, we've made it to week one. I'm super excited for the NFL kickoff, which will be on Thursday between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. And then I believe we also have a Friday night game played in Brazil between the Chiefs and Chargers. And then we'll also have Sunday's full slate of games as well. So football is back in full effect, not only in the NFL, but on the college ranks as well. So with that being said, I want to jump into the chat and say what's up to you guys. The first person I see in the chat is Xavier Littman. So shouts out to Xavier Littman. Shouts out to Maurice Martin. They said, "What's up, Jew? What's good, man? I appreciate y'all. I see the red and black in the comments. Make sure as you join in that you guys hit that like button for your boy. Make sure you guys, like I said, hit that subscribe button for your boy. If you want to support the channel via Cash App, it's $ at Jew Talk Sports. If you would like to super chat, you can also hit that button on this channel as well because we are monetized over here. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys. And shouts out to my bro Mad Mike Sports in the building. Y'all make sure y'all go show him some love on his channel. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed, not only for Atlanta Falcons content, but he also does wrestling content over there on his channel as well. So with that being said, I'm not going to prolong the time. I'm going to jump right into things and kind of give my early thoughts on this first week one's matchup between our Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. First off, I want to say this. Week one games are always hard to predict what's going to happen or what's going to take place because both teams are trying to fill each other out. Because nobody really plays their starters during the preseason, it's really hard to know going into week one what are the strengths and weaknesses of each team. Of course, you can go by last year's film and things of that nature of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what they like to do. Of course, we know they have Baker Mayfield at the quarterback position. We know that they have Mike Evans over there. They have Chris Godwin over there. They drafted Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State. So they are really strong when you talk about offensive weapons and being able to throw the ball downfield. But they do have a new offensive coordinator because Liam Cohen, last year's offensive coordinator, did take the head coaching job for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So it's going to be very interesting to see what their new offensive coordinator will draw up and things of that nature to try to take advantage of our Atlanta Falcons defense. But like I said, it's always hard to kind of predict, what's going to take place in week one's matchups. Now, good news is this is a home game. And as I mentioned, The Falcons need to take it one game at a time this season. As far as outrun the South, like we had our mantra last year. At this point, like I said, every game is important. Every game, could decide whether you go to the playoffs or not. So we have to take it every single game serious. We can't afford to look past anybody. And mission number one is to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's operation number one. So with that being said, and shouts out to Mr. Wide, as they call him, Network. Y'all make sure y'all go show him some love as well. He says, what it do, Jew? What's going on, OG? I appreciate you joining me tonight. Y'all make sure y'all go over and subscribe to his channel as well. But like I said, in this game, mainly looking at this game, the first concern that I have for our Atlanta Falcons going into this game is going to be the offensive line. We know that Caleb McGarry is not going to play in this game. We know that Todd Bowles is known for bringing pressure and having a lot of different blitz packages and exotic packages and things of that nature on the defensive side of the ball. And as Michael Penix Jr. is the first time facing Todd Bowles, it's going to be very interesting watching that cat and mouse game between Zach Robinson on the offensive side, being our offensive coordinator, and looking at what Todd Bowles on the defensive side is going to draw up for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. Now, I do feel like the Atlanta Falcons have a ton of weapons on the offensive side of the ball. I did a video earlier talking about Dwayne Ledford being one of the better offensive line coaches in the game. So I really feel like he's going to have these guys well prepared. As Elijah Wilkerson is going to be the guy that's taking over at that right tackle spot for Caleb McGarry, at least currently. And I expect him to be ready to go. Like I said, he's a guy that's familiar with Dwayne Ledford because he was here when we had Coach Arthur Smith as our head coach. So Elijah Wilkerson is familiar with these guys, but it's going to take him a little bit of time to kind of gel with these guys because he wasn't in the starting rotation. He's been like a swing tackle / guard. So he's a guy that can play multiple positions. He's played multiple positions since he's been in the league. But that's going to be one of the spots that I'm going to be paying attention to in this game because we know the Buccaneers have players like Vita Vea. They have guys like Yaya Diaby. That's one of the pass rushers, outside linebackers. They have guys like Cansey at the inside at that 3-tech position. And they brought in Hassan Reddick, another really good pass rusher coming off the edge. So I really feel like it's going to be very important that the Atlanta Falcons establish the running game early on in this game, that they come out and throw the first punch on offense, allow your offensive line to be aggressive, allow Bijan Robinson to tote the rock, allow Tyler Algier to tote the rock as well. Let those guys touch the ball early and often. And then once you start passing the ball, make sure you get your top pass catchers involved early. Kyle Pitts need to have a big role in this game. Drake London, those are your two guys that you want to feed the ball to. Of course, you have also Darnell Mooney. If he plays in this game, he's one of the better explosive wide receivers when you talk about creating separation on his routes. Last year, he was one of those guys that destroyed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in both games, but especially in that game, that Thursday night game at home, because of his elite ability as far as running routes, creating separation. And he's one of those guys that's a speedster. So he's a guy that can take a little short pass and make it, turn it into a long run. The same thing with guys like Bijan Robinson. I really feel like in this game, you don't want to have Penix and holding on to the ball a whole lot long. You want to see 3-step drops, him getting the ball out of his hands really quickly and allowing his playmakers to make plays. He just needs to be a point guard in this game, distribute the ball, and allow guys like Bijan Robinson to do what they do best. Bijan Robinson's a guy, if you put him out in space, you throw him the football, he can take a play and make something out of nothing. So I really feel like in this game, it's going to be important that we play with poise. And Michael Penix, which to me he's shown since he's been in the league, the 3 starts that he got last year, it seems like he rarely gets rattled. It's not any throw that he's scared to make out there on the field. He showed that last year. So it's going to be very important in this game that the Falcons get off to a good start in this game. But I really feel like it's going to start off with the physicality point of running the ball, establishing the line of scrimmage, and then allowing Penix to be able to play action off of the run. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, it's going to be important that we win the turnover battle. In this game, I'm really looking forward to this defense taking the ball away. And Baker Mayfield is one of those guys that will throw an interception or will throw you the football because he's a guy that doesn't like to take sacks. He's a guy that doesn't like to throw the ball away. He's a guy that wants to scramble around in the backfield and try to, make something out of nothing. And I really feel like in this game, because the Falcons have added, two really good athletic pass rushers and Jalen Walker, also Leonard Floyd, also James Pierce Jr. We have guys that can close really quickly on the quarterback. Last year we weren't super athletic with guys like Matthew Judon, with some of the bigger body guys that we had on the defensive line. We didn't have a ton of athleticism on our defensive line. But this year, James Pierce Jr. is one of the fastest defensive linemen or outside linebackers in the game. Both him and Jalen Walker are elite athletically. Even Leonard Floyd is one of those guys that's a really good athlete. So I really feel like in this game, if Baker Mayfield gets to scrambling around, I really feel like that could lead to trouble, either strip sack fumble, either a forced interception, because he's not a guy, like I said, that likes to give up on a play or live to fight another down. Baker Mayfield is a guy that's going to try to scramble around. Even if it's him taking off with his legs and try to make something happen himself, he's not a guy that's going to throw the ball away and give up on a play. So that's going to bode well for our Atlanta Falcons. And I really feel like we should be able to force the Buccaneers into a turnover or two in this game. And if we can get an early turnover, I really feel like that's going to give this young defense confidence. We do have guys like Billy Bowman starting at that nickel spot. We have guys like Brandon Dorless, who I've seen. If you guys haven't seen the depth chart, it looks like he'll be starting on the inside next to David Onyemata. So these young guys that's getting opportunities, Xavier Watts, if one of those guys can come away with an early turnover, that really will help their psyche. That really will get their juices flowing as far as their confidence, because we know that these guys are going to come out and everybody's going to be nervous, but especially those first time starters, first time rookies in their first live NFL game. As far as the regular season, I really feel like there's going to be nerves and things of that nature. But if they can go out there and make a big play, come up with an interception, come up with a forced fumble, that really will get the juices flowing for those young guys and give them a little bit more confidence if we can go out there and get a early stop and force a couple turnovers in this game and put our offense on the short field. Now, it's going to be important in this game that the coaching staff, they do the right things in this game. When we talk about complementary football, meaning punting the ball when you need to punt the ball, kicking field goals when you need to kick a field goal, being aggressive when you need to be aggressive, calling the appropriate timeouts and things of that nature. That's going to be very important in this game as well. I really feel like the Falcons are going to try to control the tempo of the game, and they're going to try to put pressure on Baker Mayfield. And I feel like if we can get out to a lead, that'll bode well for this Atlanta Falcons defense, because I really feel like we want to make the Buccaneers one dimensional and force them to throw the ball. The Buccaneers do have a really good offense. They have guys in Bucky Irvin in the backfield that can run the ball, Rashard White that can run the ball. And like I mentioned, they have some really good wide receivers over there. So I really feel like in this game, it's going to be important that the Falcons get out to a lead so we can eliminate their running game. We get out to a lead, we can force Baker Mayfield to have to try to play catch up, and that's when he starts to force things. And I really feel like that'll open up an opportunity for an interception, open up an opportunity for one of our pass rushers to get to him and possibly cause a fumble or cause a turnover. Now, let me jump into the chat really quick. And Matt Mike says, run the damn ball. Yep, special teams, punting in particular. Mr. White says disruption in their backfield and getting turnovers will be key for our D. And Mad Mike says slide as well, tight ends and wide receivers. Yeah, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be very important that this defense, the calling card of this defense is creating turnovers. If we can get out there and force turnovers, which was the Achilles heel to this team last year, because we turned the ball over. We were in the minus when you talk about getting turnovers. We turned the ball over more than we forced turnovers last year. So that's going to be one of the margins that I'm watching very closely in this first game and watching all season long to see if we're winning the turnover battle, if we're forcing turnovers. We can't afford to turn the ball over in this game. And I really feel like you really don't want to get down in this game because you're at home. You want to get that crowd into it. So if we can get the ball first, go out and score a touchdown, and allow this Atlanta Falcons, fan base and the crowd to get into the game and be loud in the stadium, make it hard for those guys to hear the snap count and things of that nature. That gives guys like James Pierce Jr. that edge coming off that snap. It gives him the advantage with those guys being on that fast track playing at home. I really feel like those guys playing on that turf at home, Jalen Walker, Pierce, all of these fast guys that we have, Devon Diablo, these guys gonna be even faster playing inside of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So I really feel like playing on that fast track is gonna be important that we get out to a lead and allow those guys to pin their ears back. Now, when it comes to this game on the special team side of the game, I really feel like that's the third phase of the game that's also going to be very important. Young Wei Koo, last year he kind of struggled due to injuries and stuff like that. We need to make our field goals. We need to be sound as far as our punting units and things of that nature. We need Bradley Pinion to be on his game. And like I said, we need to be good covering kickoffs and covering punts. And even guys like Jamal Agnew. I don't know if he's going to play in this game, but they've been raving about him all off season. They were raving about, he's a guy that can, flip the field and possibly return a kick for a touchdown or return a punt for a touchdown. We're going to need all hands on deck for this game. And if he can come away with a big punt return, a big kickoff return, that could flip this game in the Falcons' favor, especially when you talk about field position. Having good special teams play is another huge part of this game. So it's going to be very important that all three phases play well in this coming game. Now, that's like my first little soliloquy of things that I'm looking forward to in this game. You guys give me your questions. You guys give me your thoughts on, what's your concerns heading into this game. You guys give me your predictions for this game. If you want to give me predictions, if you want to give me predictions on how you think that this game is going to pan out and how the Falcons are going to fare in this game, you definitely can start dropping those questions as well. But that's just my first, couple thoughts. Like I said, I expect this team to be a little bit tight coming out because that's usually how both teams come out. I remember last year's game against the Steelers. Both teams looked kind of sloppy, especially on offense. It was a game full of special teams, field goals, punts, and things of that nature. There was no touchdown scored. So I expect it to be possibly similar in this game as well, where teams could possibly be tight early on. But eventually, because they haven't played in the preseason, they possibly going to start tight. But I expect as the game, goes on and they get out there and play, the game will start coming to them and they'll start flowing in this game. So you guys give me your thoughts in the chat, of your thoughts in this game, your questions in this game, of possibly X factors in the game, any questions that you guys may have. Maurice Martin says, do you think Raheem will follow the game plan or will his ego get in the way like last season? And that's a good question, Maurice Martin. So I don't think that Raheem Morris is actually going to get in the way. One thing that I like about us bringing in Jeff Ulbrich, Raheem Morris is a coach where he's going to allow his assistants, he's going to allow them guys to do their job. So one thing that I like about him bringing in a Jeff Ulbrich, I really feel like he trusts Jeff Ulbrich and he's not going to step on his toes. I think he's going to let him run the defense. I think for Zach Robinson, he's going to let those guys run the offense. The main thing that I'm paying attention to with Raheem Morris is just understanding when to do certain things. And if he's not doing it, somebody on the coaching staff stepping up. Guys like Jerry Gray, guys like Jeff Ulbrich. As an assistant coach, your job is to step in. If you believe that we should be taking a timeout, or if you believe that we should challenge a play, I want to see those guys animated on the sideline, like, hey, timeout, hey, whatever the case may be. We seen that in the preseason with Jeff Ulbrich, super animated with the defense coming off the field, high-fiving guys, encouraging guys, talking to guys, pulling the tablet out. when they're off the field talking to those guys on the sideline. That's what I want to see in this game. So I really feel like Raheem Morris, we're going to see if he learned from the error of his ways last season, because we know he mismanaged a couple of those games last year. But with us having an experienced coaching staff, I want to see those guys also step in if they see that something is not being done the right way, whether it's a player, whether it's the assistant coaches, which really I feel like that's what the assistant coach's job is if the coaches, they supposed to see his blind spots and they supposed to step in and help him out as, assistant coach, assistant head coach. You're supposed to step in and make the proper adjustments or help your head coach in those instances. And shouts out to Dre Murphy. What's up, bro? He says, what it do, what the business is, everyone. How y'all doing and feeling on this Tuesday night? Man, I'm doing good, man. I hope you feeling well, man. I hope your family's doing well. And let's we talking a little bit about week one. So you give me your thoughts, Dre, of how you feel it, this week one matchup is going to play out. And Mr. White says Homer Simpson will not be tolerated. Yeah, I mean, in this game, like I said, Raheem Morris, he just has to come out here and he has to use common sense. That's it. In certain instances, you should know better. He's been around the game long enough to know when it's time to call a timeout. He should know when to make the proper adjustments out there on the field. And if he doesn't know, that's why you hire guys that's on your staff that's smarter than you, that can see your blind spots and understand I can speak up whenever necessary if it's for the betterment of the team. So that's what I want to see. I want to see guys stepping up and speaking up. And I want to see these guys go out there and have fun. If this Falcons team goes out there and plays the way that they played in the preseason, and what I've seen in training camp, as far as having that attack mindset on the defensive side, having that attack mindset on the offensive side, of speed off the ball. If we play in attack mode on both sides of the line of scrimmage, I really feel like that's going to be the difference in this team and last year's team. Is just imposing your will on the other team, being aggressive, not being afraid to make mistakes. And that's what it sounds like this coaching staff is allowing. I've heard numerous players, especially on the defensive side of the ball, with guys like Zach Harrison, guys like Ruko Rororo, guys like James Pierce Jr. and Leonard Floyd, them talking about, Coach Ollie, Nate Ollie, is allowing those guys to, make plays, allowing those guys to be themselves. All he asks those dudes to do is give 110% on every single play, meaning just speed off the ball, attack, attack, attack. That's all they've been teaching these guys. So that's what I want to see on Sunday is guys being in attack mode, guys not thinking a whole lot. You've heard Coach Ollie talk about if you think you stink as far as in the trenches, you want guys to use common sense, especially, as far as the play calls and things of that nature. But on the defensive line, we want those guys being disruptive so the second and third level can eat. When you have good defensive linemen up front that's being disruptive and, they're not allowing the offensive linemen to get to the second level and get up to the linebackers, but they're holding their ground and things of that nature. That's what allows the Caden Ellis's, that's what allows the Devon Diablos and those corners and safeties to come up and make tackles for loss when we're playing on their side of the line of scrimmage. So that's what I'm looking for in this game. And let's see. And Georgia Texas boy says, "What's up, Jew, AFN, and Falcons family? New era is here. The Atlanta Falcons will rise in 2025 and beyond." Yeah, man, what's going on? I know you say that in every show. That's his mantra, man. And I'm riding with it. I really feel like this Atlanta Falcons team has a chance to do something special this year. I didn't give a record prediction this year. I didn't want to give like my prediction of what games the Falcons could win or lose. But I'll say this: my bar is set at 11 wins. This team should be able to win 11 wins. That's my bar. So 11-6. Uh, and the floor for this team to me is 10 wins. So I believe this team should be able to win 11 games, but my floor is 10 games. This team should win at least 10 games this season. That's so I'm just gonna leave it at that. And let's see. And Maurice Martin says, "Are we running a 3-4 or a 4-3 this year?" I think it's going to be a hybrid defense. So you're going to see both. To be honest, most teams down in the NFL run a lot of nickel defense because most teams want to spread you out. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not a team that plays, you know, a heavy run style offense. There are a lot of three wide, four wide receivers. They want to spread you out and throw the ball around the yard. They're not a team normally over the last couple of years that want to run the football and be physical. Now they can run the football, but I really feel like their bread is buttered with throwing the ball to Evans, Godwin, and now Emeka Ibuka. And also they have Otten at the tight end spot. Now I don't know if Otten's going to play in this game because what I've heard, Otten is injured. The same thing with their tackle as well. Tristan Wirfs, he's been another guy that's been battling an injury, so they may be without their top offensive lineman as well. Their tackle in this game as well, which could bode well for our Falcons. And shouts out to my boy Six Man and Six Man K Styles. He's in the building. 6MK Live. Y'all make sure y'all go and hit that subscribe button on his channel as well. He says Billy Bowman being the nickel joker player will be a factor, and I completely agree. I always uh, compare a Billy Bowman to like a baby linebacker. I really feel like he's going to have a similar role to Brian Poole in that 2016, 2017 season when we had Brian Poole. And one thing I like about Billy Bowman Jr. is he's a really good tackler. So when you have a guy that can tackle really well, especially in that slot role, that really helps a lot. And I really feel like that's the reason why they wanted him in the nickel over a D Alford. Not that D Alford can't play the nickel spot because D Alford played it well over the last couple years. But Billy Bowman is a little bit stronger than D Alford, a little bit bigger of a guy, a little bit more muscular and things of that nature, and he can take on blockers and things of that nature a little bit better. And I think he's maybe a little bit faster than the D Alford as well. So he's a little bit more of an explosive athlete. But Billy Bowman is another guy that's very instinctive as well. I've heard comparisons to the Honey Badger. I don't want to put that on him, but I have heard comparisons. I don't know if it's because he's light skinned with dreads, but when I watched him at Oklahoma and some of the film that I've seen of him, he plays the game similar to the Honey Badger, where he's very instinctive. He's a guy that can go get the football, but also a guy that tackles really well. So I think he will be a factor in this game. And if we playing man coverage and things of that nature, him and Emeka Ibuka, two rookies going up against each other, that should be a really good matchup. And Jake71 says the longest week. Can't wait for week one in this season. Great point. I agree with you, Jew. And Dre says, I think we sweep the Tampa Bay Buccaneers once again. This is going to be a very tough game. I'm not going to leave a lie to you guys. I'm not going to say we're going to sweep them, but I really feel like this is the most important game of the season. And I'm going to say that every single week. The most important game in the season is your next opponent. So they're the opponent that we need to be focused on this week. We can't assume, that we're going to sweep them because we did it last year. We definitely gonna have to go out there and put it all out there on the field because Tampa is a really, really good team. They're very familiar, like we're very familiar with each other. But I'm not nervous necessarily for this game because I really feel like this is the most equipped Atlanta Falcons team as far as the roster wise. This is probably one of the best teams we've had since those Matt Ryan, 2016, 2017 days. We know with the previous teams that we've had, with Arthur Smith, those teams were overachieving type teams, meaning he didn't have the roster to really compete at a really high level as far as for a playoff spot or being a contender. But I really feel like this Falcons team doesn't have any excuse. Raheem Morris, this coaching staff, Terry Fontenot, Arthur Blank has given these guys the money to sign players, and they had the draft capital where now we've built. The rebuild to me is pretty much done. When you look at this Falcons team, at the end of the day, the only thing that I can see could hold this team back is inexperience because we have a lot of young guys that we're relying on to be, you know, have big impacts, be immediate starters, be guys that's going to have an impact. Now, am I nervous about it? I'm not nervous about it because I've seen the Atlanta Falcons in this position before, and that was the last time we were in the Super Bowl. When you remember the 2016 team, 2015, 2016, 2017, you had rookies that was filling in and playing huge roles. Deion Jones, your Mike linebacker, Devondre Campbell, both of those guys drafted in the same year was rookies when we went to the Super Bowl. You had Keanu Neal, rookie. So we had a lot of rookies that were basically huge contributors to us being able to make it to the Super Bowl. So I really feel like this Atlanta Falcons team is going to have the same thing. These guys are going to make mistakes at times this week, and throughout the season because they're young players and they haven't played and been in certain situations and haven't played out certain scenarios in an NFL game. But I still expect these guys to play at a hot level because the guys that we drafted, all of these guys have proven, at least from what we've seen so far in camp and through the preseason, they earned their spots as starters. The Billy Bowmans, the Xavier Watts, from what we've seen so far out of these guys, they showed us that they're pretty solid players. So we're gonna see on Sunday and throughout the season, how fast they can pick up the NFL game and how fast they can get adjusted and comfortable in playing in the NFL. But I really feel like this Falcons team has everything it takes to be, one of the contenders in the NFC and make a deep playoff run. And Dre Murphy says my X factor on offense will either be Drake London or my boy and dog Kyle freaking Pitts, the unicorn. Yeah, I can see in this game either one of those guys being the X factor or Bijan Robinson being the X factor. But if I had to choose between Kyle Pitts and Drake London, I would say Drake London because I've seen Drake London take over games. I've seen Kyle Pitts do it as well, but Drake London, I think he's just a dog. He's not a guy that can really be covered. Neither one of those guys can be covered one on one, but Drake London has shown me, every single game that he plays in, not only is he a factor with catching the ball, but he's also a factor with his blocking and just his dog mentality. Drake London is one of the top competitors. I feel like he's one of the most competitive players I've seen in the Atlanta Falcons uniform because he's a guy that doesn't back down to anybody, and he's a guy that has that dog in him. So I expect Drake London to have a big game on Sunday, but I could see him, Kyle Pitts, or Bijan having a breakout game week one because I really feel like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers don't really have great coverage linebackers necessarily. Guys like Levante David, he's been in the league a really, really long time. He's still a really good player, but I don't think he can cover our wide receivers. He's good, but he's not that good. At this point in his career, he's on the back end of his career. He's still a solid player, but he doesn't run like he used to. So I really feel like if he gets caught on a Kyle Pitts or get caught on Drake London in the slot, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a mismatch for the Atlanta Falcons in our favor. And Georgia Texas boy says, I agree, Drew. The rebuild is complete. Yeah, we complete. At this point, we're complete. The only thing I can say this Falcons team may want to go out and get is like a one tech. That's the only thing that I think the Falcons could add to like really beef up the defensive line. But if I really feel like at this point, the Atlanta Falcons, based off of the attacking scheme that they're playing, they don't really want a huge 330-pound type guy on this defensive line. Just based off of how they built it. They want guys that are athletic, big, athletic, but can move and can run out the stack as they talk about and make plays down the field as far as tackling. And OG Mr. Wyatt says Casey Washington and Bijan X factors for the game. I definitely could see that. I definitely think with Casey Washington, my big question mark is this Darnell Mooney playing in this game. If Darnell Mooney plays, I don't think that Casey Washington is going to get enough snaps to be a huge X factor. But if Darnell Mooney is not able to play, which they're saying he's day to day, excuse me. So in that instance, if Casey Washington ends up getting out there, he could be a sleeper player because they haven't seen a ton of tape on him, meaning opposing teams. And I think that Casey Washington could surprise a lot of people because nobody really knows what he's capable of. So this is one of those week one, surprise type deals where they don't have a lot of film on him. If he ends up playing, he could end up being an X factor because they don't know what to expect. So he can be one of those guys that just pops out of nowhere for against Tampa. And Maurice Martin says, Jew, do you believe we will use Algier effectively And in short yardage situations, to be honest with you, I don't know how much they're going to use Tyler Algier. I don't want to even convince you that that's going to happen because I really feel like the Falcons haven't done a good job of using Tyler Algier enough. But again, I've said this numerous times that the Falcons have too many weapons. So when you have so many doggone number one first round picks, it's hard to spread that ball around, especially when guys are hot and you're trying to feed the hot hand. And in a lot of instances, I really feel like Zach Robinson and the coaching staff, they don't like taking Bijan Robinson off the field because he's a home run hitter, meaning Bijan Robinson is one of those guys that he can take a swing pass to the house, or he can take, hit a crease and he's gone. So I really feel like in certain situations, it's not that they don't like Tyler Algier. It's like they like Bijan Robinson a little bit more because of his playmaking ability. So I'm not too sure. I expect Tyler Algier to get some snaps, but I don't know if he'll get over 10 carries in a game because the Falcons have not been known to do that since Bijan Robinson's been on the team. So hopefully Tyler Algier gets some burn in this game, get some run in this game. But I don't know about the short yardage situations and things of that nature. But I think it would be wise, especially if you're near the goal line. If you get near the goal line, I think, and you're trying to just run north and south, I think Tyler Algier is the type of guy that he's going cut downhill. Even though Bijan Robinson is speed and, he can do speed and power as well. But I definitely think that we should use Algier because he's the guy that's really physical, especially in the fourth quarter once you start wearing their defense down. Let's see. And Georgia Texas boy says in short yardage, we need to go more two backs so a defense can't dictate who gets the ball. Yeah, and I agree with that as well. We seen a little bit of that last year in that Chiefs game, if you guys remember, where they was lining Tyler Algier up in the backfield with Bijan Robinson, almost like a fullback or H back, and they were handing the ball to both of those guys. So that's another thing I expect to see this year, based off of what the writers have been saying and the people that's out there, the reporters with the Falcons that was at training camp. I've heard numerous times that they stated that both of those guys were in on certain packages where they had Bijan and Tyler Algier in the game at the same time. And 6 minutes, do you see Nate Carter getting a couple third down snaps versus Tampa? I don't see Nate Carter playing at all in this game, K. To be honest with you, 6 man, I don't see him playing because, like I mentioned, the Falcons got too many weapons. So I really don't think that the only way Nate Carter gets in the game is if Bijan Robinson or Tyler Algier go down with an injury, and it's like, okay, we forced to play him now. Outside of playing special teams, I don't see Nate Carter getting like a offensive snap. Now, I think he is another guy that's very explosive, and if he were to get in the game, I think he can make some plays. But I don't think that if you have a healthy Tyler Algier, healthy Bijan, with all of the weapons that you have trying to pass the ball, I don't think it's enough snaps to go around in a regular season game to get Nate Carter, get him, any carries. But like I said, unless someone goes down, which knock on wood, we don't want nobody to go down, especially not week one. It's way too early for guys to be getting injured, but we don't want to see nobody get injured regardless. So, that's wishful thinking. I hope that, Nate Carter eventually gets to get out there and show his stuff, but I think right now it's mainly going to be the Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier show. And Dre says they said early today on NFL Live that we give up the most passing yards to running backs. Yeah, and I agree with that, Dre, but that's been because we haven't had linebackers that can cover. So I really feel like that's changing this year because you have Devon Diablo, a guy who can actually cover because he's a former safety and a former DB in college at Virginia Tech. So that's his strength. When we had Nate Landman last year, when we had Caden Ellis, those guys are more thumper type linebackers. They're not coverage linebackers, and I really feel like that's the reason why Nate Landman wasn't brought back, because he doesn't fit Jeff Ulrich's scheme as far as wanting linebackers that can cover and guys that are explosive athletes. Nate Landman was strictly a downhill, stop the run type linebacker, so he struggled in coverage. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Falcons were the worst at covering running backs out of the backfield because we really haven't had since Deion Jones. We haven't really had that linebacker that's mainly can cover really really well. So I expect that to change this year with them bringing in a Divine Diablo. And let's see. And Tony Wright says, "What's up, Jew? How y'all doing? Doing great, man. I appreciate you joining me tonight, Tony." And he says Tyler Algier should get between 12 and 14 carries per game. Yeah, I agree, but it's just not enough snaps to go around. The only way that Tyler Algier is going to get that many snaps is if either Bijan goes down with an injury, or if they just all of a sudden the game plan is just to run the ball 90% of the time. That's the only way I see Tyler Algier getting his just due and getting the carries that he deserves. But like I said, you got too many weapons. Would you rather get a ball to Tyler Algier or Bijan Robinson? Or get a ball to Tyler Algier or Drake London or Darnell Mooney or Kyle Pitts? Like, there's so many weapons in that pecking order. I think Tyler Algier is a great fit for the Falcons in the thought that he softens up the defense because after 4 quarters, nobody wants to hit somebody 215, 220 coming downhill like a Mack truck. At some point in the game, you're gonna start fatigue is gonna start to set in, and those little arm tackles. That's the type of tackles that Tyler Algier runs through consistently. So I really feel like Tyler Algier, the most carries I see him getting in this game is about 10 carries, and that might be pushing it. I really don't think he'll get over 10 carries because they try to get Bijan Robinson anywhere from 15 to 20 touches in a game. So if you tally that up and you tally, say, 8 to 10 targets for Drake, you say probably 6 to 10 targets for Kyle Pitts. It's only so many plays to go around as far as passing attempts and rush attempts and stuff like that. Unless you just turning the other team over, it's hard to you know, give those guys give those guys targets or give those guys carries. And Diamond Honey 81 says Brick's theory will be in full effect. Can't wait to see this defense play. Yeah, Jeff Ulbrich is one of those guys that's just a great coach in general. Guys like to play for him because he has that attack mentality. He has that almost that brotherhood. When you talk about Dan Quinn and the brotherhood, that's basically what Jeff Ulbrich is preaching. When he talks about heart, mind, fist, those guys playing together, unity. He's a former middle linebacker in Jeff Ulbrich. He played in the NFL. So he's one of those guys that believes in unity. He believes in the guy playing for the other guy next to him and those guys playing on the stream. But what I like about him is he's letting it all hang out. And that's what the type of coaches that I like. If you're going to be a player's coach, allow your guys to play free. Give them a scheme, but give them a scheme where they can play fast and it's not a whole lot of thinking. And that's something that I keep hearing over and over again with this defense and these players. It's like they're allowing us to be us. They're allowing us to use our superpowers. They're allowing us to go out there and play and have fun. They're not putting so many restraints and things on for the defensive lineman where you're not using the proper technique, that we want you to use, or we want you to stay in this gap. It's important. Gap integrity is important in things of that nature. But I really feel like it's important also to let your guys be them and do what they do best. So I'm definitely excited to see what this defense can do because I expect them to fly around. Who I'm really looking forward to in this game is DeMarco Hellams. That's the person that I want to see. How many snaps is DeMarco Hellams going to get? Because to me, he was a tone setter in that first preseason game. And I really feel like he needs some snaps so he can set the tone as far as his aggressive style of play. I really feel like he could set a tone when you talk about those receivers getting alligator arms and scared to reach out and catch the ball because that number 23 is out there lurking somewhere looking to blow somebody up. That's what I'm looking for in this game. How many snaps is DeMarco Hellams going to actually get in those 3 safety packages? Or are they going to bring him in as like a nickel safety, big safety type deal? And Georgia Texas boy says we have to continue the game plan of having Tyler bulldoze folks beginning of the 3rd quarter. It was very effective this past season. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, Tyler Algier is a really good player. I like him because he's an aggressive and physical runner. He's a guy that runs through arm tackles, and he's not a lot of wasted motion. He's a one cut downhill. I'm not trying to make, not trying to shake nobody, not trying to juke nobody. I'm just one cut downhill like a Mack truck. I'm running somebody over. I'm running into the brick wall, 3 yards in the crowd, cloud of dust type situation. And Tony Wright says, Drew, what do you think about using Bijan the way San Fran uses Chris McCaffrey, getting him around 18 carries and using him as a receiver in the slot? I mean, I would like that. I think that what makes Bijan special is his versatility. So, however you can get him the ball, and that's what I think the Falcons are going to try to do. That's why I really feel like Tyler Algier is never really going to get the love that he deserves as far as the carries we want to see Tyler Algier get, or like the split down the middle. I don't never really think we're gonna ever see that because Bijan Robinson is a special talent. So like I said, they trying to get him the ball, multiple times, a game, and that limits how many carries you can give a Tyler Algier. But to answer your question, Tony, yeah, I definitely think they're gonna use Bijan all over the field, which we've seen them do ever since he's been in the league, to be honest with you. Arthur Smith was using him in that way, where he was using him to catch the ball, using him to run the ball. He was getting, when the first year we had Bijan Robinson here as a rookie, they were really like feeding him the ball. Even last year, he got a lot of carries. He had over, I think, 1,700 yards or something crazy like that of total offense between catching the ball and running the ball. So, and he had something crazy like 17 touchdowns or 15 touch. He had crazy number of touchdowns as well. If you tally up his receiving touchdowns and his rushing touchdowns last year. So he had a really good season last year. So I don't expect that to change this year. Now, do I think his numbers could dip a little bit? Possibly. Because if Kyle Pitts has a resurgence, then like I mentioned, there's only so many footballs. There's one football. So everybody ain't gonna have a breakout season. Somebody's numbers are gonna have to dip a little bit. But it don't really matter to me. At the end of the day, I said this in my last video, I just want this team to win. Mission number one is to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't care how you get it done. I don't care about the individual accolades, meaning Penix throwing for 300 yards or Bijan rushing for 200 yards or 150 yards. If you lose the game, it's not going to matter. I don't care about the all pros. I don't care about Pro Bowls. I don't care about none of that. Only thing I care about is winning. That's it. If you win, all of the other accolades will come. We just need to focus on getting the W. That's it. And Dre Murphy says, Drew, would you keep safety help over the top to help out with Mike Evans? Make someone else try and beat you since Chris Godwin and Jalen McMillan are going to be out. Yeah, most definitely. I mean, every game that we face Mike Evans, we know him and AJ always go at it. Him and AJ Terrell. But in this game, you just want to limit the explosive plays. I don't really care about Mike Evans catching the ball. You're not going to stop him from catching the ball because he's too good of a wide receiver. What you can't have is the backbreaker type plays, like a 50-yard bomb touchdown. Those are the type of plays that you got to do without. If he going to catch anything, it better be comebacks. It better be like 10 yards and in. We don't need the huge 25-yard, 30-yard, 40-yard chunk plays. Those are the type of plays that get you beat. So I definitely would keep, Jesse Bates, over the top to make sure that he doesn't get behind the defense for the one play bomb. That's what we're trying to eliminate is those explosive plays. But I expect this team to run more man-to-man coverage, so that could open up an opportunity for them to throw the ball down the field, because I think Jeff Ulbrich is going to be aggressive and blitz at times, and he's going to trust that his corners can cover one-on-one down the field. I don't think that they're going to play really conservative and not blitz at all, or not play man-to-man defense at all, because last year it was mainly zone. If you go look at a lot of those games when we had Jimmy Lake here as the defensive coordinator, he rarely allowed his corners to play man-to-man last season, him and Raheem Morris. So I really feel like that was some of the issues that we had, was teams would pick apart that zone because we were dropping guys, dropping defensive linemen in coverage, dropping, linebackers, dropping our corners way back instead of letting them press up and play man-to-man coverage and throw off the timing routes and bump and run coverage, that throws off the timing of the quarterback. So I think it's going to be important that they play a little bit of man to man in this game. You don't have to play it every single play because that opens up crossing routes and things of that nature when you're playing man to man the whole game. And you got to know how to pass off certain routes when you're playing man to man. But it's still important that I think that you play some man to man, just to throw off the timing. Because Baker Mayfield is a him and Mike Evans and those guys. Baker Mayfield is a quarterback that's going to anticipate throws. So if you can throw off their timing by bumping, bump and run type coverage, that'll help for one, your pass rush get home because when you're playing so far off the ball last year that quarterback could just pop up and throw the ball out there, and our guy was 6 to 8 yards off the ball. So when you're playing that off coverage, it's easy pitch and catch for a quarterback and wide receiver, especially for like a Mike Evans or a Godwin, guys that have been playing together for years. These guys know each other, know each other's ins and outs. They know what each other's thinking before they do it. So because you know that these guys have that chemistry, it's going to be important that we throw off the timing. The way you throw off the timing is blitzing to make the ball come out earlier and press man-to-man coverage. So slow down those routes and give James Pierce, give Jalen Walker, give David Onyemata and those guys up on the defensive line time to get home before the ball comes out. And Georgia Tech Sports says, Jude, do you see more inside zone being implemented this season? I could see that. I could see us running inside zone, but I really feel like the Falcons like those stretch plays. When we run the ball, we like stretch plays because Bijan Robinson has elite vision as a running back. So when you run those stretch plays, it automatically, based off of the angles, it opens up creases and it gives Bijan Robinson multiple creases that he can run through because of his ability to jump cut and stuff like that. He's very good at reading where the open hole is. So I definitely think that you'll probably see a little bit of inside zone, but I think we mainly going to be an outside zone type running scheme. We like to run the ball to the outside and then open up those cutback lanes so Bijan Robinson can cut, back to the inside if that's what he chooses to do. But they like his feel. Bijan Robinson has a very good feel of where the open hole is. And let's see here. Tony Wright says, and remember, during the 2022 season, there were only 2 rookie running backs to gain over 1,000 yards. Kenneth Walker and Tyler Algier. Yeah, Tyler Algier, he like that. I keep telling people Tyler Algier is like that. I don't think it's no shot at him. We know that Tyler Algier is special, but at the end of the day, I don't think he's ever gonna get a shine. I keep saying he's like Turner the Burner, Michael Turner that came to the Falcons. Michael Turner originally was a part of the San Diego Chargers. He was on a team with LaDainian Tomlinson, and he was LaDainian Tomlinson's second string running back when he was with the Chargers, but he never really got the snaps that he deserved until he came to Atlanta and became a starter and got the bag. So I really feel like it's going to be the same with Tyler Algier. He'll get opportunities, but I don't ever think that you're going to ever see him get 1,000 yards again in Atlanta because there's just not enough footballs to go around. Unless you're running the ball all the time, I haven't seen too many teams that have 2,000-yard rushers on their team. And being that Bijan Robinson's the starter, he's always going to get more carries. When you talk about for the season, Bijan Robinson's always going to get the first crack at whatever's going on at running back. So that's why Tyler Algier is going to always be limited. I feel like as long as he plays with our Falcons. And Dre Murphy says, where did Christian Wirfs play on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line since he's going to be out for this game? I hope and pray and wish we can take advantage of that opportunity of being out. Yeah, I don't know if he'll be out in this game, but my assumption is he's going to be out because he suffered an injury in training camp. So I don't know if he's going to play or not. He's another like game time decision, I think. They're saying they don't know what he's going to do, but the injury report should be out I think tomorrow on Wednesday and Thursday, usually when they put the injury report out, so we can actually see if it's gonna say he's out or whether he's a game time decision or day to day type situations. And man, Mike says we need to see wins. Exactly. That's what it's about. Wins. I don't care nothing about all of those, accolades, all pro, Pro Bowl, you know, it's cool for the player. It's all good. But even with the Falcons as a whole, the Falcons players like the Bijan Robinsons, the Drake Londons, they don't get the national publicity that they deserve and get the national credit that they deserve because the Falcons haven't won consistently. If we win, Bijan Robinson is a superstar running back. But if you turn on ESPN or you turn on any of those, the big media platforms, they don't talk about Drake London and Bijan Robinson like they should. When you talk about Bijan Robinson, he's on the same uh, level as a guy like Saquon Barkley, King Henry. Bijan Robinson is in that conversation. So that's why I kind of stand with that. And let's see here. And Tony Wright says, with our defense, personnel sacks should go up big time. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, we definitely should be improved on our defensive line. The sack numbers totals should easily be surpassed last year. I think last year we only had about 31 sacks, if I'm not mistaken. We should have way more than that because we have more depth, more athletes. What's going to really come down to is can we force teams into third and long situations where that gives your pass rushers time to get home. If you always in third and short, third and four and or less, it's going to be hard for you to expect those guys to get pressure because the ball, either the team's going to run the ball if it's third and short, or they're going to throw a quick slant or a quick pass so the quarterback's not holding on to the ball and possibly taking the sack in that particular instance. And let's see here. And Georgia Texas boy says, I'm ready to see this improved defense. Yeah, the defense is definitely going to be improved. Like I said, the defense is definitely going to be improved because you added the speed that you needed. That's what this team lacked last year. We lacked speed and we lacked ball hawks on the back end. You had guys, um, like the Jesse Bates, you have the AJ Terrells, but you added even more ball hawks now with Billy Bowman. He's a guy that had a number of interceptions in his college career. And Xavier Watts is another guy, very cerebral, smart, but able to, pick you off. If you're not paying attention, I wouldn't be surprised in this game if Xavier Watts came up with an interception because they have been raving about him all camp. That's the reason why he ended up getting the starting role, winning the starting role. Because they say he's like a baby Jesse Bates. He's a guy that's very smart, always in the right place at the right time. And if you turn on his Notre Dame film, that's what Xavier Watts did at Notre Dame. He was always in the right place at the right time, always around the football, causing havoc. Whether it was an interception, forcing a fumble, he was always around the football, always in the right place at the right time. And that's what you need as a safety. As a last line of defense, your safety not only has to be smart, but he has to have range to be able to cross the field and make plays on the ball. But he also has to, be ready to go. So I expect Xavier Rogers to be one of those guys that could come away with an interception. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets his first interception in game one because Baker Mayfield is going to try you. That's what he does. He's a gunslinger. So he's going to try to throw the ball Xavier Watts and Billy Bowman's way. We just got to be prepared to make a play on the football because there are going to be opportunities in this game. Let's see here. And Dre Murphy says, who's going to be the kick and punt returners for us? Though I hope and pray and wish Jamal Agnew do. You think that's why they kept 7 wide receivers? Because they usually only keep 6. I think in the regards to returning kicks and returning punts, you got Ray McLeod that can do that. So he can return kicks and punts. You also have D. Alford that can return kicks and punts as well. He was doing it during preseason. They were swapping guys in and out, but I seen him back there a whole lot in D Alford. And then you also have um not only D Alford is a guy who can return kicks and punts, but you also have Natron Brooks, who was also returning kicks and punts as well during training camp and during the preseason. And Georgia Texas Boy says, as the season progressed, do you see Walker playing both linebacker and edge? I could see that. Right now, they say that he's mainly working on being just an edge, but I could always see them possibly moving Walker to the Mike position and let him play inside linebacker because he did both at Georgia. He's a guy that's super smart, and I really feel like it's going to come down to how well he rushed the passer. If he's not really getting a whole lot of pressure on the edge, I could always see them saying it might be best if he played the linebacker position, and you can swap him and Caden Ellis because Caden Ellis does pretty much the same thing that Jalen Walker did in college. He does that in the NFL. He can play inside linebacker and he can play outside linebacker. The difference is Jalen Walker is more fleet of foot than Caden Ellis. So it may benefit the Falcons at some point to move Jalen Walker to the inside position, like that Mike position, or that inside linebacker position. So at that point, you can allow Caden Ellis to mainly focus on rushing the passer at that point. So I could see that happening. And let's see here. But I'm not gonna be up here too much longer. I'm gonna take a few more questions and then I'm gonna call it a night because we've been up here for about an hour and 1 minute. You guys know I like to keep it, stay on time and things of that nature. I don't want to keep you guys all night, but you guys drop your score predictions in the chat. You guys give me your thoughts on X factors before I get ready to wrap things up. Like I said, as far as this, Atlanta Falcons team, I'm super confident. I really feel like this Falcons team playing at home, against the Buccaneers, I really feel like this team is going to be ready to go. I really feel like that. I think that this team is one of the most talented teams we've had over the last couple years, and they finally have done what I've asked them to do, which was go in the draft and get you some impact defensive linemen early in the draft and value that position and spend assets on that position. Now we're gonna see if my philosophy works because I've been stating this for since my channel. I've had my channel 5 years, 5, 6 years now. That the Falcons have to focus on pass rush because that's been our Achilles heel, and we've kind of put band-aids as case like to say band-aids on bullet wounds, and it hasn't solved the issue or solved the problem or remedied us struggling to rush the passer. So now you bring in 2 first-round pass rushers out of the SEC, 2 guys that were arguably top 3, top 5, prospects in this past draft. So now that you have those guys, I really feel like the rebuild is complete. And Dre says, what do you think about Bill and North Carolina Tar Heels getting breaks beat off them last night, though? I liked and loved it, though. To be honest with you, and then I'll get ready to wrap it up. When it came to Bill Belichick in North Carolina, I really feel like he needs time to recruit his own players. What we're learning is you can't skip the process. I said the same thing when Deion Sanders went to Colorado. His first year, and even now he's still building that program, but his first year, they really struggled. And I said he's going to need time to recruit his own players. That takes time to build a program, especially on the college side of things. And he went to North Carolina, which is a team that's not really known for college football. They're mainly known for college basketball. So it's going to take a while for Bill Belichick to establish his culture there, but it's also going to take him time to get, like they said, the Jimmys and the Joes. He needs those big name, 5-star recruits. He don't have many of those on that roster, and that's the reason they got trounced or got beat down because they just don't have what they need at this point. And that's what happened to Deion early on, Coach Prime, with Colorado. His first year or two, he really didn't have, what he needed as far as 5-star recruits and things of that nature. He still had to recruit those guys to come to the school. So you seen them struggle. You seen Coach Prime in Colorado and Shador not being protected because it takes time to go get those big hogs up front. Those big defensive linemen, usually they go to schools like Auburn, Alabama, Georgia. You know, they usually play in the SEC. You rarely see in the Big 12, which I believe Colorado's in. You rarely see those teams have really good defensive lines and offensive lines unless they've had time to build the program up. And if you notice with Colorado, they're starting to get a little bit better. Every year they're gradually getting better, and that's because Coach Prime has had time to, for one, put his fingerprints and his culture on the team, that winning culture, but also he's had time to bring in those guys, recruit those guys. 'Cause that's what it comes down to in college football is getting the best players, being able to recruit. I don't care how good of a coach you are. Even Bill Belichick, who has multiple Super Bowl rings, it's not good enough to just go in there and teach your philosophies. You still got to have the dogs and the players to go out there and do it. So I really feel like Bill Belichick will be fine unless he just doesn't know how to scout players, or he doesn't know how to recruit players to the school. But he has scouts and things of that nature, and he's been around football long enough to know talent when he sees it. But he has to get those guys down there. Right now, North Carolina this year they're gonna struggle because for one, it's a first year coaching staff. For two, as I mentioned, they don't have the players that they need. They don't have the dogs that they need to protect the quarterback. They don't have the dogs that they need to make plays. So until, which I'll probably give Bill Belichick probably like 2 to 3 years to kind of trying to build, recruit the players that he want, get the guys that he have in there out, or these guys end up becoming backups and things of that nature. But with that being said, I'm about to get ready to wrap things up. Like I said, man, I'm looking forward to week one's matchup between our Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like I said, this is just a preview show. We will be doing the heavy hitter show tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So you guys want to stay tuned to that. If you haven't hit that subscribe button on that channel, make sure you go over and hit that subscribe button as well. But if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button here on my channel as well, make sure you do that. Make sure you share out this content. Like I said, I'm looking forward to Sunday's game. We'll give you guys our keys to victory tomorrow. But like I said, this is week one. I really feel like this Falcons team, like I said, they have everything that they need to go out there and get the job done. But this is the first mission. First mission is beat Tampa. Go beat Tampa, and then don't look forward until you handle this business. So at the end of the day, I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. As always, make sure you guys continue to share out the content. Make sure you guys continue to comment. If it's something that you would like me to cover in a video, or a question that you may have and you would like me to do a video about it, make sure you put it on my community tab or put it under one of my videos. And if you're a member of the channel, if you're a part of my Jew Talk Sports membership, that's one of the perks of being a member is you have first dibs to quality to video control. So content control. So if you're one of my members of my Jew Talk Sports membership, make sure you drop those questions because you have first dibs on when I do any videos. When I'm dropping a video based off a fan request, if you're one of the members, that's one of the perks that you have as a Jew Talk Sports member, is basically being able to control content and give me ideas of which type of video you would like to hear me do in regards to our Atlanta Falcons. So with that being said, I have a lot more content coming for you guys. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up, be blessed. Peace.